Fall through and give you ways to waste. Link up, baby. You just hit my line for the wind down. There's only one thing on my mind when you come around me. I get lost in where you found me. Want you to use me. You let her confuse me. Don't wanna hide the fact that you make me feel that way. Want you to give me play. I see it in your eyes, you're lonely. Come put that body on me. I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. They can't do you like I will. Nobody do you like I will. I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. They can't do you like I will. They can't do you like I will. Like I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. I treat you right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. They can't do you like I will. Like I will. Pick up the phone, little baby. You got me up and I'm wavy. You know I want you to myself. You know you've been driving me crazy. Look at me right in the eye and tell me it's mine. If not, I'ma make it that way. You know I want you in a major way. I bless that body, make you share your grace. I've been trying to get you face to face. Fall through and give you ways to waste. I do what it takes. I make them walls sing on your heartstrings. Say your arms. I treat you right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make it feel. I treat you right, I will. I hit it right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make it feel. I hit it right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. I treat you right, I will.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right, so shout out to everybody who is in the building. It's good to see each and every one of you. Hopefully you guys are doing great. If you can hear me okay and everything looks good on the screen, please give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat. If you guys cannot hear me or things are looking and sounding kind of bad, please give me a thumbs down or an angry face. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to shout out everybody who is in the building early, all right? Shout out to my man Cameron Jones. Shout out to Reparation Nation. Shout out to Volvo 2 Love. Shout out to Mina Jean. Make sure you guys throw some liking forces in the chat for Mina Jean. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Make sure y'all throw some liking forces in the chat for Brooklyn Queen. Make sure y'all throw some liking forces in the chat for Miss Nisi. Spam enforcing. We appreciate you. Shout out to DSA1. What's good with it, bro? Shout out to Tedra. Good to see you, Tedra. All right. Shout out to my man DC Precise. Shout out to my man AB Promotions. We got Carlton Way in the building. All right. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. Shout out to Catsy. What's good with it, Catsy? All right. So this is going to be an expansion off of that conversation that we had the other day on the other channel. All right. And also we're going to go into some other things. All right. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen and shout out to Jay the Informant. All right. Because Jay the Informant put the information about New York in a Discord. We're going to go over that. And we're going to go over a little bit more about this Arizona thing, because I want people to understand when they talk about voting rights, this is what they're talking about. So I got to ask the question, why is it that when they talk about voting rights, right? Why is it that when they talk about voting rights, they always wrap that package in a black label? That's my question for you guys. Why is it black label voting rights? Because we have voting rights. Let me ask you guys this question. How many people have ever been turned away from voting today as a result of not being able to vote because you're black? Now, again, these are very different than redistricting and gerrymandering, right? Those are voter those are like a power dynamic thing. I'm talking about individual voting rights enforcement, okay? When it comes to what they're talking about, they're saying that people who do not have proper documentation, people who do not have proper IDs, those people should be allowed to vote. I disagree. Let me ask you guys this question in the chat. Name some things that require an identification. Just anything. A job, getting a bank account, anything. Now, why is it that it's not looked at as a restriction of your rights when it comes to that kind of situation, but when it comes to something as pivotal as deciding who the elected officials are in this country, it doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters. Somebody make it make sense. When cashing a payroll check, driving, yeah, getting into the DNC, right, passport, facts, all great answers, all true answers, right? Now, if you go to those places, any of those things that you want to do, shout out to Carlton, buying a beer at the corner store, facts. If you don't have your ID, what are they gonna say to you? What happens if you don't have your ID? If you don't have your ID, you just out of luck. You got to either come back with your ID or you just ain't getting what you came to get that day, right? It's not a restriction of your rights. However, when looked at in terms of quote unquote voting, they're trying to say that it is a restriction of your rights. So we're going to go through some information and I'm going to let you guys decide on what you think is true versus what you think is false.
Makers say it's a win for election integrity after the Supreme Court partly granted a request to enforce proof of citizenship when voting in Arizona. The provision the court allowed the state to enforce would require officials to turn away anyone trying to register to vote if they do not have proof of citizenship.
Hey, we gotta give it up to Miss Nisi. Throw some flames in the chat for Miss Nisi. I'm still carded when buying cigarettes, right? Hey, I ain't mad at you. Know what they say, black don't crack. You know what they say, black don't crack. Hey, don't feel bad. I get carded too all the time. Nobody even believes me how old I am. It just, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I literally look the exact same as I did in high school, except for, you know what I'm saying, I got like gray hair on my face. I don't have no gray hair on my head. But when I tell people how old I am, literally nobody believes me ever. So, you know, it is what it is. And then it just goes into the whole like vampire lore. You know, people already think that I'm, you know what I'm saying? So there's that.
Citizenship. In Ohio, hundreds could face prosecution for voting illegally in the elections. Ohio Secretary of State identified 597 non-citizens who are illegally registered to vote.
Why would they be voting? Think about this. You came into the country illegally. Now you're voting illegally. Why would you come into the country and vote illegally? Think about this. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Could this possibly inaccurately throw off the results of an election? If it can, give me a thumbs up. If you don't think that it can, then give me a thumbs down.
Hundreds could face prosecution for voting illegally in the elections. Ohio Secretary of State identified 597.
Now, here's another question. How are you going to face prosecution How are you going to face prosecution if the sanctuary city laws protect you from prosecution? What does this prosecution pathway look like? That's the facts. There it is. Shout out to Tedra. Throw some flames in the chat for Tedra. How are they registered to vote if they have no documentation? And if there's rules that say in order to vote, you have to meet these criteria, how is it that not meeting those criteria is somehow a restriction of rights? What if you've never gone to law school or taken the bar exam and you say, I want to be a lawyer, but I can't because of these restrictions, also known as criteria? Is your right to be a lawyer being taken away from you? See, that's the question. Shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. We got 17 people watching and we got 12 likes. If everybody could take a moment, smash that like button and get us to 20, that would be great.
Non-citizens who are illegally registered to vote. So far, they say 138 may have voted in an election.
See, 138 may have voted So let's take a look now. We're gonna take a look at this little news clip from Arizona Channel 3. Okay. And we're gonna dive into this some more. Shout out to Roots Tracker. What's good with it, Roots Tracker? Good to see you. All right. So how many people agree with the RNC that this should be blocked? If you guys agree with the RNC, give me a thumbs up in the chat. If you guys disagree with the RNC, then give me a thumbs down. I'm with Tedra here. If you're not registered to vote, or first of all, if you have no documentation, first of all, how did you register to vote? Second of all, you should have to follow the criteria. Third of all, if you're not a citizen and you're not, there's people that aren't citizens. However, they have met certain criteria where they are eligible to participate in our political processes. If you're not one of those people, why are you allowed to vote? Let me ask you guys this. How many people from outside companies are allowed to walk into a boardroom at another company and just vote on shareholder affairs? Has anybody that ever worked in corporate America, have you ever seen that happen? Shout out to John Guillory. Shout out to Deneen. What's good with y'all?
Proposition 200 passed last night.
This case has its roots all the way back in 2004 when Arizona voters passed Prop 200. That law required voters to show proof they are a citizen before they can register to vote.
Now, again, and see, there's going to be a lot of going back because this stuff is just so common sense. Like, it's so common sense. It doesn't make it's odd to me why this is even a discussion. Why is this a discussion? Like, how many people saw the first video that I did about this? If you guys saw the first video that I did about this, give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't, then give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Deneen. Deneen says, this is the reason the borders are open. Yeah, I would not disagree with that. If you guys agree with Deneen, throw some flames in the chat.
Proposition 200 passed last night.
This case has its roots all the way back in 2004 when Arizona voters passed Prop 200. That law required voters to show proof they are a citizen before they can register to vote.
Let me assure all of you that a lawsuit will be filed.
Back then, attorneys argued the law conflicted with federal law, and there have been a series of legal fights ever since. Here's the basic issue. The National Voter Registration Act requires all states to register voters who complete this form.
Now, let me ask you guys this. You see these questions here? Are you a citizen of the United States of America? Will you be 18 years old on or before Election Day? How many people have ever filled out any paperwork or any type of documentation where you've ever been asked a question like that? And if you have, where have you filled that out at? Where you've been asked those questions? Yeah, I'm John, bro. I'm with you 100%. It's so bizarre that something this simplistic is even an issue. Every time I talk about this, I kind of just don't even know what to say because it's just like, for real. Shout out to DSA. DSA says, how does she, Harris, say she was raised to learn about civil rights, but ignores the people who fought for civil rights and says she won't do anything? Don't forget. Oh, facts. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, shout out to Katsy just yesterday for upcoming jury duty. Now, here's another question. Are the migrants allowed to do the jury duty? Like, Is that allowed? Because that I don't know, man. That those could be some conflicts as well, especially with like all of the crime that's going on. Shout out to everybody watching. We got 26 people watching and we got 17 likes. If we can get the likes to 40, that'd be great.
200. That law required voters to show proof they are a citizen before they can register to vote.
Let me assure
Shout out to Jesse. What's good with it, bro? Yo, Jesse, make sure you leave a comment so I can get you together on this channel. All right.
all of you that a lawsuit will be filed.
Back then, attorneys argued the law conflicted with federal law, and there have been a series of legal fights ever since. Here's the basic issue. The National Voter Registration Act requires all states to register voters who complete this form. The form asks voters to swear they are citizens, but it doesn't require them to submit proof. After an initial round of lawsuits, Arizona agreed to partially.
I mean, why do you not have to submit proof? Just to get a job? Listen, let me ask you guys, is this a factual statement? Just to get a job, do you have to show your driver's license and birth certificate or your passport? Because passport is worth two forms of ID. Usually you can substitute showing a birth certificate and a driver's license or a state ID with a passport, right? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you disagree, give me a thumbs down. However, I understand that for the most part, you have to be a citizen or at least, fit the criteria to be able to get a passport, right? So there's more criteria for a passport, which is why it substitutes for those two things. You know what I mean? Yeah, shout out to Catsy, the I-9 stuff. So you don't even have to show proof of documentation. All you got to do is just check off these boxes. You know what I'm saying?
Require them to submit proof. After an initial round of lawsuits, Arizona agreed to partially register voters who complete the form but don't provide proof of citizenship and let them vote in federal elections only. But 2 years ago, the state legislature passed another law.
Shout out to Deneen. Deneen to tell you, former HR professional here. You are absolutely right. Yeah, for the I-9 documentation. You know what I'm saying? Is either a birth certificate, driver's license, or federal ID, right? Or in lieu of those, instead of those, you can just submit a passport, right? With the passport, only the passport is necessary. Now, here goes my question. What about airports and stuff like that? How are these people getting through CSA and all that? You know what I'm saying? How are they taking flights and getting places? You know what I'm saying? It requires a U.S. citizen more identification, right? Because it takes less requirements to get on an airplane than it does to vote. Think about that. I want y'all to seriously sit back and think about that. It takes less criteria to get on an airplane or to vote than it does to get on an airplane. Shout out to Crew Reality. What's good with it, bro? I mean, it's wild. It's bizarre.
These federal-only voters from casting a ballot for president, either in person or by mail. Chad Haywood is a Republican political strategist.
Shout out to Unsunken One. What's good
I
with it,
think
bro?
this is people trying to make sure that we trust the elections. And the voters in Arizona have already spoken on these issues. I mean, when you put them in front of the voters, they're overwhelming that they want proof of citizenship for people to be able to vote in any fashion.
Lower courts ruled against the 2022 law.
I mean, this is, to me, like, this is so wild, man. Like, this is just basic. This is so basic. It's so basic. You guys know I'm kind of a brainiac. I like talking about, really complicated stuff and, talking my way through logic and stuff like that. You guys got to understand where I'm coming from when it comes to doing content like this, right? Because this is so simplistic. It's mind-boggling to me how it's an issue. Like, I don't understand. You know what I'm saying?
The RNC has appealed, arguing that federal rules cannot override the Arizona legislature's sovereign authority to determine the qualifications of voters. Attorneys for the Biden administration have urged the Supreme Court to reject that appeal, saying judicial intervention at this stage would undermine the orderly administration of the election, risking the disenfranchisement of thousands of voters who have already registered to vote.
No, it wouldn't. And how would it do this? How? You know what I'm saying? How would it do this? Seriously. Now, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say, man.
Using the federal form. Now, the 2022 law has never taken effect, but the RNC is arguing it should. Democrats say it would be a sudden change so close to the election. The RNC has...
It doesn't matter if it's a sudden change. If it's something that's causing problems, it needs to be changed, which is why it needs to be a sudden change. Something being a sudden change and causing inconvenience simply because the Democrats don't like it is not an adequate excuse to just ignore a problem. Would you guys, if you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Asked the Supreme Court to decide this case, or at least on an emergency basis, by Thursday, which is the deadline for some counties to start printing their ballots. Vanessa?
All right. It'll be interesting to see how this is forward. Thank you.
All right. So there's that. All right. So now, again, shout out to Jay the Informant. Make sure you guys throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Jay the Informant, because he provided us with the clarification information about this New York City situation with the voting as well. This doesn't make any sense. This is ridiculous. Okay. This is some of the most ridiculous stuff that I've ever heard in my entire life. Okay. New York City's non-citizen voting law ruled unconstitutional on appeal. Why, again, why does this even exist? Okay. All right, Jesse, you did it on this channel? All right, bet. Why does this even exist, y'all? Right. Shout out to Roots Trackers. Roots Tracker says, well, the illegals are on that special law. What's it called again? Right. What's that special law called, y'all? Why is this a thing? How many people knew about this? If you knew about this, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not know about this, then give me a thumbs down. New York City's non-citizen voting law ruled unconstitutional on appeal. Now, mind you, this is from February 23rd of 2024, okay? I'm going to make this bigger so y'all can see it. Y'all able to see that? Let me know if y'all can see that or not. Okay. A state appeals court ruled that a New York City law would allow non-citizens to vote in local elections is unconstitutional, marking a win for the Republican elected officials who sued to block it. So as you guys can see, the Republicans are going around, they're going around and chasing and trying to stop all these things from happening. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Why is it that why do you all think that the Democrats are allowing this? Why is it that you think that this is going into effect? This is again, this is just bizarre. And what's interesting about it is, you know, there's not very many people talking about it. We determined this local law was enacted in violation of the New York State Constitution and municipal home rule law, and thus must be declared null and void. Read the Wednesday ruling from Paul Wooten, an associate justice of the appellate division for the 2nd Judicial Department in New York. All right, so let me see. Let's see what they got here. Let's see what this is looking like real quick. Oh yeah, this is really long, but I'll tell you guys what though. We'll put this in the Discord. If anybody wants to read the actual decision, because this is that kind of stuff that I do. Shout out to Shatira. Shatira says, you already know why. I don't know why. Tell us. Tell me. All right, so here's the decision right here. I'm putting it in the chat, and I'm going to put it in the Discord too. All right, so give me 1 second. Let me just throw this in the Discord. Now, how many people knew that this was going on? How many people knew that this was going on? All right, there we go. Get rid of that. All right. So now, Mayor Eric Adams' administration, see, Eric Adams has been defending the law and appealed a lower court's ruling against it. All right. So you see who's doing this stuff. You see who's doing it. So a lot of these problems, Eric Adams is bringing on himself. We've talked about this. Yeah. I do not disagree with that, Deneen. Shout out to DSB. What's good with it, bro? If you guys agree with Deneen here, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, then give me a thumbs down. Deneen says they need to replace us as a voting bloc. We're demanding something for our vote, and they would rather blow up the country than give us tangibles. If you guys agree with Deneen, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Roots Tracker. Roots Tracker says, this is why we cannot do the couch. I definitely understand that logic. I definitely understand and sympathize with that logic. Shatera says somebody needs to have a come to Jesus with Eric. You guys need to watch my video that's premiering at about 2 o'clock on the other channel. Yeah, watch that video that's premiering on the other channel at 2 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says a spokesperson didn't immediately respond when asked if City Hall planned to appeal the state's highest court. The 2022 law has not yet gone into effect since it faced immediate legal challenges. It sought to let green card holders and other people living in New York with federal authorization to vote in local elections for offices, including mayor and city council, applying to some 800,000 new eligible voters in a city of 8.5 million. Championed by progressive Democrats. Supporters said, the city, our vote. The bill would make politics more representative and the city more inclusive for immigrants. Okay? How's that working out today? How's that working out today? Give me 1 second, guys. Let me shut this alarm off real quick. All right, we back. Now, let me ask you this. If you haven't paid your dues, how included are you in things? Like, say, for instance, you go to Sam's Club and you don't have a Sam's Club membership. Can you complain and be like, I'm not allowed to be included? No, you have to pay a membership. You have to get a card. You know what I'm saying? You have to pay the membership fees, right? I mean, like, what is this? What is this? What are we talking about here? You know what I mean? Championed by progressive Democrats, supporters said the Our City, Our Vote bill would make politics more representative and the city more inclusive for immigrants. Opponents, mostly Republicans, said it would turn into a logistical nightmare, leading to voting fraud, and that Democrats only wanted to shore up their numbers. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Do you agree with that? If you agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with that, give me a thumbs down. I actually agree with this. I mean, it's just common sense. So now here says, I won, baby, I won. Council Republican leader Joe Borelli said in an interview from them folks country where he is on a study tour with fellow New York lawmakers. Imagine that. This was an easy case. All they had to do was read the state constitution and municipal law. The criticism falls on the proponents of the bill. Borelli was one of the plaintiffs who sued as soon as the bill became law in January of 2022. Fellow Staten Island Republicans, Representative Nicole Meliotakis and Borough President Vito Fossella joined him, among others. A Staten Island lower court judge struck it down months later. This is why they picked the Staten Island jurisdiction for the lawsuit, election lawyer Sarah Steiner said in an interview, referring to the politically conservative leanings of the borough. It was a more likely place to get the underlying decision. In a 3-1 ruling, the appellate court agreed that the clause in the state constitution that every citizen shall be entitled to vote refers exclusively to U.S. citizens. And again, duh, right? I mean, again, like, this is common sense. You don't need to pass a bar exam to understand this. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to have gone to law school to understand this. This is very common sense. This is very common sense. You know what I'm saying? And the court ruled that a provision of state municipal home rule law requires changes to elections be passed over by voter referendum rather than by local legislator. In fact, New York City adopted a ranked choice voting for city primaries with the 2019 ballot question. Okay. The New York Immigration Coalition, which supports non-citizen voting, decried the ruling. So imagine that. So we need to pay attention to this New York Immigration Coalition, okay? Because I wouldn't be surprised if like every single state has something like this. And these are these organizations that bankroll getting all of these non-common sense, upside down, weird laws enacted. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, shout out to Roots Trackers. Roots Tracker says, bro, Rob, the illegals are under that asylum law. I never seen it, though. Makes these illegals untouchable by cops. Yeah, and that coincides with the sanctuary city stuff. You know what I'm saying? While we are still reviewing the decision and its impact on immigrant New Yorkers, the lawsuit remains another shameful attempt by, here we go, xenophobic Republicans who would disenfranchise residents rather than promote a more inclusive and participatory democracy. The people who are a full-fledged part of the democracy should absolutely be allowed to participate in it. People who are not fully ingratiated into the democracy should not be. Just period. You know what I'm saying? NYIC Executive Director Murad Awadesh said in a statement, immigrant New Yorkers deserve a say in how their local government functions and spends their tax money, and we remain committed to ensuring the expansion of voting rights. As long as they have satisfied all of their criteria to be allowed to do those things, then yes, they do. If they have not, then they don't. And it's just that simple. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, then give me a thumbs down. I'm not going to read this name, but I'm just going to let you guys read that comment there. And I'm going to ask you guys if you agree. If you guys agree with that there, you know what I'm saying? Give them a thumbs up. Just make sure they keep their mouth away from the thumb. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says non-citizen voting is still extremely rare in the United States, but there is a growing movement to legalize it. Is there? Is there a growing movement to legalize it? Where's this growing movement coming from? Washington, D.C. overcame opposition from congressional Republicans to allow non-citizens to vote, but the city's law has been challenged in court. A San Francisco court upheld a law in 2023 allowing non-citizens to vote in school board elections, and 3 Vermont cities, including Burlington, recently allowed legal residents to vote in local elections. Okay. Now, here's my question. They're doing all of this expansion of rights and all of this stuff for people who are not citizens. What's being done for citizens? Shout out to B1 First. What's good with it, bro? What's being done for citizens? You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Jay for putting that into the Discord. Now, we're going to look at something else here. All right. There's one particular political party that is really the one that's pushing this envelope. Okay. Take a wild guess who it is. I'll let y'all take a wild guess who it is. Take a wild guess who it is. House Democrats encouraged to oppose bill banning non-citizens from voting. Again, got to reiterate the points. Why? You know what I'm saying? So now here it says Democrats in the U.S. House of Representatives have been encouraged to vote against a bill that implements greater safeguards to ensure that non-citizens aren't registered to vote in federal elections and impose consequences if they are. Okay. So again, like this stuff, it's common sense, and like they said, like the old saying goes, the common sense is just not very common anymore. It's not common anymore. You know? U.S. Representative Chip Roy, a Republican from Texas, filed the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, first announced in May, which is expected to come up for a vote this week. Democrats hold a minority in the House and are unlikely to block the bill from passing. In a whip question sent to House Democrats by House Minority Whip Catherine Clark, a Democrat from Massachusetts, first published by Axios, she encouraged Democrats to vote against it, saying, as we've seen a number of times this Congress, House Republicans continue to irresponsibly call into question the credibility of our elections. Is that actually irresponsible? I don't think that that's irresponsible. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share this stream to your social media. We got 37 people watching and we got 28 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us to 60, that'd be wonderful. Shout out to the specialist. What's good with it, bro? Okay. Despite numerous recounts, challenges in court, and deep dive by conservative think tanks, there has been zero evidence of the widespread fraud that the bill purports to target. It is already illegal under current law for non-citizens to vote in federal elections. There's also the issue of they don't have to show proof of ID. Now, here's my question. If you're not showing proof of ID for something, shout out to Aristopat. What's good with it, bro? If you're not showing proof of ID, how can you tell whether fraud has taken place or not? The only way you would be able to tell if fraud has taken place or not is if you compare the ID's integrity with the actual information that the ID alleges to verify. And if the ID has been altered or is not an original ID from a verification certified entity, that would be what would prove the fraud. But if you don't have any of those documents, then how would you get the information to prove that there's fraud? How would you get the information to prove that there's fraud? See, that's the issue right there. The bill goes before the Rules Committee Monday night. The rules vote on the floor is scheduled for Tuesday, with a final passage of the bill expected on Wednesday, Center Square has learned. The bill was filed after several local Democratic-run jurisdictions nationwide have announced efforts to register non-citizens to vote. Now, mind you, it's just the Democrats. There's clearly a reason why this isn't being done all over, right? The bill was filed after several local Democratic-run jurisdictions nationwide have announced efforts to register non-citizens to vote. Okay? And some, like the District of Columbia, passed measures to allow non-citizens to vote in local elections. All right? This is so bizarre. U.S. Representative August Pfluger, a Republican in Texas, filed a bill more than once to block the district's measures, which Democrats overwhelmingly opposed, Center Square reported. Clark argues the SAVE Act would supersede individual state law by amending the National Voter Registration Act to require voters in all states show documentary proof of citizenship in order to vote. These changes would prevent Americans from registering to vote with their driver's license alone, as real ID does not include citizenship and is in fact available to non-citizens. Okay? Like, this is ridiculous. How many people think that this is ridiculous? You know what I'm saying? This is ridiculous. She claims it would make a passport the only acceptable standalone form of identification for use in a voter registration. A real ID driver's license, a tribal ID, or military ID would be unacceptable unless coupled with additional documentation such as a birth certificate. That's what you got to do to work. Like to get a job, that's what you got to do. Again, reference our resident HR professional, Deneen, will tell you that that's literally what you have to do for work. So like, why is this like nobody cares that employees have to do this? You know what I'm saying? Nobody cares that employees have to do this. You know what I'm saying? She also claims it opens avenues to further intimidate election officials and overburden states' abilities to enroll new voters. To enroll what kind of new voters? You should be enrolling eligible voters who fit the criteria. Eligible voters who fit the criteria is who should be voting. Would you guys agree with that? If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with that, then give me a thumbs down. That's who should be doing it. That's who should be voting, is eligible voters who fit the criteria for the most part. You know what I'm saying? These claims are false, Roy argues, saying it requires citizenship to vote in federal elections. Democrats will oppose it this week because they want non-citizens, including illegals, to vote. Roy led a coalition of 49 Republicans to introduce the SAVE Act, which now has 104 GOP co-sponsors. U.S. Senator Mike Lee of Utah, with several co-sponsors, introduced the same bill in the Senate. The Center Square reported. Now, listen, this is what I want to put this out here to people, because I've been saying this for a long time. Conservative policies, if you ask me, are far superior and far better for us than Democrat policies. The trick bag is that the conservative party, the conservative movement, Republicans, is flooded with racist white people and flooded with racist non-black people, purposely to repel you from utilizing those methods to improve your situation. There's a reason why all of the racists are concentrated in that party, and it's to force you to vote against your interest. Understand what I'm saying? If y'all understand what I'm saying, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't, then give me a thumbs down. No, this is one of the reasons why I say it. There's a reason why the black people who are part of the conservative movement, the ones who get the face, are the ones who are the COONs. You know what I'm saying? Conservative politics are the best. The reason why the people who flood the conservative party are the people that they are is their own safeguard to stop you from getting to prosperity through those policies. People got to understand that. Understand that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that one thing that people need to start doing is people need to start showing how racism is used as a repellent to keep you from accessing policies that encourage your own wealth. And I agree. Shout out to Roots Tracker. There's COONs on both sides. Absolutely. 110%. Matter of fact, we're gonna put this to the poll. If you guys agree with Roots Trackers, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. However, being the independent is the best way to go, if you ask me. You need to be able to. You don't go to the store and buy things at a store, in a biased way. You buy what you need for your situation. You need to personalize your politics. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says it is already a federal crime for non-citizens to vote in a federal election. So now, how do you prosecute these people for this in a sanctuary city? When they say that something is a crime and then they try to apply it to this group of people, it doesn't really make sense to say that it's a crime, because you know that there's crime protections for them, right? Like, okay, I'm going to prosecute you. Well, I'm going to prosecute you how? You're protected by sanctuary sanctuary status. Law enforcement doesn't work to prosecute these people. So why are you threatening? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you threatening prosecution, knowing you're not going to prosecute anybody, knowing that you can't prosecute anybody? Think about that. Yeah, and I wouldn't. If you guys agree with B1 first here, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. I agree. Those illegals are cogs in those bigger racist schemes. Yeah. Yeah. Facts. Shout out to Alexandria. What's good with it? Okay. So now here it says, despite this, when announcing the bill, House Speaker Mike Johnson, a Republican in Louisiana, said no current mechanism to ensure only those registering or voting are actually citizens. Look at this. See, and this is a problem here. House Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican in Louisiana, said no current mechanism to ensure only those registering or voting are actually citizens. If a nefarious actor wants to intervene in our elections, all they have to do is check a box on the form and sign their name. That's it. That's all that's required. And there's a very small chance that illegal would get caught because states do not have the election infrastructure in place to confirm what they've said. So again, this is what I'm saying. It's easier to vote as a non-citizen than it is to get on a plane as a citizen. It's easier to vote as a non-citizen than it is to get on a plane as a citizen. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. And the reason why we have to break this down like this is because, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can't, like, man, we can't continue to just keep going down this road of where they're trying to make it seem like common sense things are not true, are not real. This is ridiculous. Like, this is you know what I'm saying? This is ridiculous. We shouldn't even be wasting time with this, man. We shouldn't even be wasting time with this. Now, let me ask you guys this. How many people have seen any news coverage about this particular situation here? Has anybody seen any news coverage about this? Shout out to David Brown. What's good with it, bro? If you guys have seen news coverage about this, give me a thumbs up. If you guys have, give me a thumbs down. Okay. Johnson said non-citizens, look at this. This is what non-citizens can do. Non-citizens can simply go to their local welfare office or the DMV and register to vote there, adding that states are currently prohibited from asking someone to prove that they're a citizen when they use the federal voter registration form. So again, they have it. So when they keep saying there's no evidence of fraud, this is the reason why there's no evidence of fraud, because none of this requires any type of showing of ID. You know what I'm saying? Like, none of this requires any showing of ID. So this is why there's no evidence of fraud, because how would you collect evidence of fraud if there's no exchange or no cross verification of identification? He issued a statement clarifying what the bill does. This is what the bill does. It requires state election officials to ask about citizenship before providing voter registration forms, and for individuals to provide proof of citizenship in order to register to vote in federal elections. It also offers state officials to accept a wide variety of documents that will make it easy for citizens to register to vote in federal elections, he said, and provide states with access to federal agency databases so they can remove non-citizens from voter rolls and confirm citizenships for individuals lacking proof of citizenship. I don't think that's outrageous. I don't think that's outrageous. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Shout out to Vincent Harper. What's good with it, bro? Shout out to Black Free Thinker. What's good with you? I don't think that there's anything wrong with any of this. Yeah, shout out to DC Precise. Facts. With a straight face, sitting up there acting like you're wrong. You know what I'm saying? The law also directs the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to determine whether to conduct removal proceedings if any illegal foreign nationals have been found to register to vote in federal elections. And yeah, of course they should. Yeah. Again, this is election interference. How many people would agree that this is election interference? If you guys agree that this is election interference, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, then give me a thumbs down. This is election interference, period. You know what I'm saying? Johnson has previously warned Americans Democrats have expressed a desire to turn on citizens and voters. This is what this open border has been all about. That's he's been saying. Now, listen, let me ask you this. If conservative politics is not superior to Democrat leftist politics, my question is, why are they saying the same thing that we're saying in the comment section, and we don't even get along with these people? Think about that. Because it's just logic. It's just logical. That's why. You know what I'm saying? Roy said the SAVE Act would thwart Democrat efforts to cement one-party rule by strengthening the current law that permits only U.S. citizens to vote in federal elections. Let me ask you guys this. How many other countries do you think don't know who should be voting in their own elections? You know what I mean? Like, where else is something like this a problem at? This is ridiculous. This is crazy, man. So, how many people have heard about what's going on at the northern border? Take a wild guess who's at the northern border. Take a wild guess. Take a wild guess who's at the northern border. I'll give you a hint. A lot of them are quote unquote uncommitted. A lot of them are uncommitted. You know what I'm saying? So now here says Republicans call for enhanced northern border security as Gazans flock to Canada. Okay. Republicans are calling on the Biden administration to increase security at the northern border after the Canadian government began issuing visas to Gazans who may be connected to the terrorist organization Hamas. That's nice. That's nice. How many people were aware of that? If you guys were aware of that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys were not aware of that, give me a thumbs down. Yeah. So you know what that means. They're going to go more than likely to Canada, right? And then circle back and come to the United States. The Canadian government's program includes giving Gazans a refugee travel document, which replaces their passport and is accepted by U.S. Citizen and Immigration Services, enabling them to enter the U.S. Republican U.S. senators allege in their letter to the Department of Homeland Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Wonderful, right? Yeah. This is ridiculous, man. This is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? However, with little to no reliable records or background checks of these individuals from the Palestinian territories, these policies unlock opportunities for individuals with ties to terrorist groups to enter Canada, receive new forms of identification, then try to enter the U.S. along the porous of the northern border, the Republican senator stated. Irrespective of Canada's immigration policies, the U.S. should not waive common sense terrorist screening and vetting for any individual entering the United States through other countries. And I would agree. Again, I agree. So, you know, all of this migrant stuff, right? All of this voting stuff that we've been talking about. Why is it that when they talk about the voting rights stuff, it's wrapped in a black package? This is my question for everybody. Why is it wrapped in a black package? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Kurt, first stream sponsor. Make sure y'all show him some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for my man Kurt, funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Definitely appreciate you, bro. Kurt says, why would you need to travel as a refugee? Isn't the point to get settled and start a new life? Facts. Hey. You know what I'm saying? Right. Tom Clark, Consul General of Canada in New York, said Canada does not provide applicants with a refugee travel document that replaces their origin country passport. While Department of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, has claimed everyone entering the country legally or illegally is vetted, which how do they do that with no documents? DHS Office Inspector General reports have found the opposite to be true, the Center Square reported, okay? Because the number of records of known or suspected terrorists who've been apprehended at the U.S.-Canada border, over 1,000 since fiscal year 2021, the possibility of terrorists crossing the U.S.-Canada border is deeply concerning given the deep penetration of Gazan society by Hamas, the senator said. It would be irresponsible for the U.S. to not take necessary heightened precautions when foreigners attempt to enter the United States. They also requested Mayorkas provide them with information about Palestinians entering the country, okay? Republican Senators Marco Rubio, Tim Cotton, Ted Cruz, Mike Braun, Joni Ernst, and Josh Hawley signed the letter. The senators have long expressed concerns about Hamas supporters in the U.S., including Cruz, who has endured since February harassment by pro-Palestinian activists outside his home in Houston. Pro-Hamas activists have been targeting Hispanic and conservative members of Congress in Texas, the Center Square has reported, okay? Our countries share the same objective, keeping the border open to legitimate trade and travel, but closed to terrorists, criminals, and threats to our citizens' health and safety, Clark told the Center Square. Under President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, the greatest number of terrorists have been apprehended in U.S. history, the majority of them at the northern border, the Center Square first reported. Now, let me ask you guys this. Why is that? Why is that? Shout out to Roots Trackers funding the organization. Make sure y'all show Roots Trackers some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Roots Trackers funding the organization.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
This is the hardest record out.
Cash rules everything around me. Queen, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
Roots Tracker says we cannot afford to vote couch on this one. Vote closed borders and mass deportations. I am not mad at that. If you guys agree with Roots Trackers, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. And we're going to actually get into that in a little bit, okay? We're going to actually get into that in a little bit, all right? In late May, the Canadian government announced it was increasing the number of temporary resident visas to Palestinians living in the Gaza Strip who claim to be related to citizens or permanent residents of Canada. Now, here's the question. How do they vet that? How do they verify that? See, the policies of the people that live around you, those affect you as well. Those affect you as well. Would you guys agree? So it's kind of important, you know, they kind of really need to be paying attention to what's going on in Canada too. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. We got 38 people watching. I definitely appreciate each and every one of you. And we got 43 likes. If we could bang on that like button and get us to 70, that would be great. The majority of Gazans voted for Hamas in 2006, all right, which holds a majority in the Palestinian Legislative Council, the legislator of the Palestinian National Authority. Hamas was designated by the U.S. State Department as a foreign terrorist organization in 1997. Now, mind you, they were by the United States State Department, right? But the UN recognizes Hamas as the legitimate government of Palestine. Okay. And we shout out to DC Precise. We're gonna go into that. We're gonna go into that. Like every good YouTuber says, if you want to know more about that, make sure you stick around and watch the video /stream all the way to the end. You know what I'm saying? Like they teach you in the YouTube Creator Academy. You know what I'm saying? Is it the largest and most capable militant group in the Palestinian territory? It is the largest and most capable militant group in the Palestinian territories and one of the territory's two major political parties, according to the National Counterterrorism Center. So then they go and talk about, the Hamas attack and, you know what I'm saying, all of that. And I don't think we need to go over any more of that. I think we're good. Anybody interested in this? I'll put this in the chat. Hold on real quick. Let me put this in the chat. All right, so if you're watching on the replay and you're interested in looking at the article, the link will be in the live chat if the live chat appears. And to the folks in the Discord, shout out to y'all. If you're not part of the Discord, take a moment, join the Discord. I'm finna put the link in the Discord right now. But of course, it logs me out because my computer just has way too much security on it, which is not a bad thing because, you know what I'm saying, I actually believe in security. You know what I'm saying? Boom. All right, so yeah, so we good with that. All right. So next, what we about to do is we about to take a look at some of these criminals. All right. We're about to take a look at some of these criminals. A lot of crime is going on in New York City. There's going to be some more streams coming up where we're going over this stuff. If you're subscribed to Undocumented, make sure that you're subscribed to Undocumented. Make sure that you're subscribed to the Undocumented Bros. And make sure that you're subscribed to Undocumented because we definitely going to be talking about this stuff. There's a stream that I got planned coming up that's kind of crazy about some stuff that's going on that, of course, they're not talking about. Also, we got a stream coming up on Undocumented today at 3 o'clock. You can watch that stream either on the Undocumented channel or on Just Talking with TD and Rob, or on Grind and Motivate's channel. So if you guys aren't subscribed to any of those channels, make sure that you guys go and subscribe to them. All right, check this out real quick.
8:32, New York City Mayor Eric Adams traveling to Chicago today to attend the Democratic National Convention, where he'll also meet with national leaders to discuss the ongoing migrant crisis. Adams wants to change New York sanctuary city laws in the wake of recent violent crimes involving asylum seekers. Joining us this morning to discuss what these changes would look like is the New York City Field Director for Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, right, Ken Gianello. So great to have you here.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate being back on.
Let's talk about this. 2 asylum seekers currently in custody for allegedly raping a woman last week in Coney Island. We've also seen this series of robberies, what the NYPD is describing as migrant-driven robberies in the area of Central Park, right? What comes next now? Is ICE able to get involved with detaining some of these folks who are bad apples, as they call them, right, and deport them?
Well, my staff is out every day. We're out in the public, in the community, trying to remove these public safety threats from our communities. The issue, obviously, that we face is we need the cooperation and collaboration with our law enforcement partners here in the city, specifically NYPD. The sanctuary policies won't allow them to cooperate, but lately, you've seen the mayor, you've seen NYPD, the chief of patrol, speak out stating that they need to cooperate with us. And 100%, I'm all on board. This cooperation needs to be there because we have the same overarching priorities, and that's to keep the residents and the migrants and the citizens of New York City safe.
So cooperation looks like what, right?
Now,
So
here's my question for everybody. Shout out to Jay. Make sure y'all throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Jay. You know what I'm saying, with the article, because like I said, told you guys at the beginning, he was the one that supplied that clarification information on the New York citizen non-citizen vote thing. All right, so shout out to him because he's here. All right, now here goes my question: how much of these problems are self-induced? What do you guys think when it comes to the self-induced nature of a lot of this nonsense? How much of this stuff is self-induced? A lot of this stuff is this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. You know what I'm saying?
Obviously, sanctuary city laws prevent the NYPD from picking up the phone and saying so-and-so is a migrant, just committed a crime, to your office. So what does the cooperation look like?
Okay, basically, I mean, obviously before the strict sanctuary policies went into effect under the de Blasio administration, we had a unit that was based in Rikers Island that would vet foreign born individuals once they finished with their time, and they determined whether or not they were amenable to proceedings. We would have detainers honored on individuals that were serving time. When they were finished with their sentence or their local charges, they would be released into ICERO custody. And just basic cooperation.
Shout out to Jesse. Make sure you guys subscribe to that channel that Jesse just put in the chat. You guys see it down there. It's called Undocumented. Make sure that you guys subscribe to that channel. All right. Got some streams coming up on there, and there's already content up on there. You know what I'm saying? I just, I've been busy, so I've been not really able to do much, but I got a little bit of time, so I'm trying to do what I can do.
We would be on task force. We would speak to one another.
Right.
Now, none of that exists anymore.
Okay, so help me break this down, right? Can you deport criminals being held on immigration detainers?
A detainer is lodged once they're in local custody. So once they're finished with their local custody, whatever their custody is, it could be a sentence. They could be released on bail or bond. They'll come over to our custody, and we'll start the removal process at that time.
Okay. We've been seeing the migrant encampments pop up all over the city, right? Especially on Randall's Island, where there has been some reported violence. Does ICE have a presence there? Can you have a presence there?
Unfortunately, at the city shelters and these pop-up tent areas, in order for ICE to be present there, the city would require us to have a judicial warrant for the arrest of a certain individual. And this goes back to the semantics that I've previously spoken about this judicial warrant that now the city council, the head, was talking about, that all we have to do is get a judicial warrant.
Now, do you guys see how they've just complicated stuff so much? Yeah, they've just complicated stuff. Now, let me ask you guys this question. This is just what's going on in New York. All right. So now, mind you, let me ask you guys this. If Kamala Harris wins the election, is the entire United States, is it going to become more like New York and California, or is it going to become more like, I don't know, more like Texas? So now I want to ask this question. Which seems to be a more sustainable / more common sense way of doing things? Let me know what you guys think.
For administrative cases, there's civil immigration enforcement cases, there are no judicial warrants. We're authorized by Congress under 8 CFR 287.5 for our managers to issue these administrative warrants. And they go along with the detainers side by side to state, once they're done, please turn the individuals back over to us.
So there's so much legal jargon and words, right? But what the audience and what a New Yorker might say is, why can't we just take the bad one and get them? So when you look, I know you can't because of the laws. Have you been able to? Some migrants that have been here who have committed crimes that you were able to remove?
Absolutely. Like I said, I don't have the exact number, but the men and women of New York, they're out every day making these arrests on individuals that have committed some heinous crimes or have some serious derogatory information in the background. And I've always said we should be arm in arm, hand in hand with NYPD, because these sanctuary policies, if you look actually even in Maryland, in the counties of Baltimore and Montgomery, they had similar sanctuary policies, and they decided to change them to work with ICERO in these counties, which is now making their counties safer.
Right. And some might say that the sanctuary laws came because of what happened in years past, where there were folks who came here looking for a better life, were not committing crimes, and were removed. Right. So say the Common Sense Caucus of the City Council, which is promoting changes to sanctuary city laws, say they get their way and you can get involved. You're not. Can you clarify or explain? You're not removing everybody.
Correct. So obviously we have limited resources. My unit, my staff, my office, we focus on the worst of the worst. So we're out there, targeting, I'd say 99% of the time, criminal individuals. And then once they come into custody, we place them in removal proceedings. When you're talking about these individuals that might not have been criminal in nature, those are the ones that have gone through the process, have seen an immigration judge, they lost their case, and they were issued a warrant of removal.
Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you all haven't smashed that like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you all have not hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. Also, if you're not part of the Discord, take a moment, join the Discord. All right. If you have a Rumble account, make sure that you subscribe to Blacklight Revelations on Rumble as well. All right.
So at that time, they have a warrant for removal from the
But ICE has a negative connotation for sweeping raids of going into places like say it was a migrant hotel, right? And happened on Long Island where some folks were removed and we're just looking for a better life. And so that's where ICE gets the bad name, right?
Well, the problem is that's a false narrative. And we don't do raids. We don't do sweeps. Everything we do is what we call targeted enforcement. We know exactly who we're looking for when we're out in the street. And that's the individual that we're arresting. So these narratives about us doing raids, going into hotels is the farthest from the truth.
So next steps, right? Have you testified before the city council, spoken to the mayor or his team about possible changes to some of these laws to get involved?
Well, I've had dialogue with the mayor's office. Obviously, I want to continue doing that. The city council, I'm open to speak to anyone about this issue. And, you know, the city council is the one that technically owns these sanctuary policies right now. And one of the things I want to bring up is, you know, where are the women's rights activists and groups when you have a lot of these crimes being committed against migrants, but not only migrants, females.
Hey, that's a good point. Hey, that's a great point. If you guys agree with that point, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree with that point, give me a thumbs down.
Whether it's sexual in nature or domestic abuse, how can they not have a voice and say, why are they being released back into the community to reoffend the same victims? So it's something that I'm curious about with these women rights activists and groups, that why are they not speaking out about the violence against the women? And most of them are the most vulnerable or the migrants. I mean, it's something that needs to be spoken about. And we don't have to change the whole sanctuary policy. Let's change something where we can agree to work on the worst of the worst cases that need to be turned over to ICE.
Okay. Keep us posted on the conversation. Appreciate you always coming back. It's a big issue for New Yorkers, so we'll keep the dialogue and conversation going with you.
All right, so there's that. All right, so I thought that was interesting. And again, why did I show that video? Because in this voter issue, right, what they keep saying is that, oh, well, you know, if they get found guilty of fraudulently filling out, if they get found guilty of fraudulently applying to vote for quote unquote federal elections, how are they going to get prosecuted if law enforcement doesn't cooperate with the other law enforcement? You know what I'm saying? Like, make it make sense. Like, and another thing that people need to really pay attention to is the trick bags, right? Defund the police, for the most part, is the same thing as abolish ICE. Both of those are executive branches of the government, law enforcement. So they'll get you warmed up to abolishing ICE by saying defund the police. Like, the whole thing is a scam. The whole thing is a trick bag. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to DC Precise, because DC Precise had mentioned this, talking about how Trump more than likely will not be able to do these quote unquote expected mass deportations. I actually agree with DC Precise. This is a segment from News Nation with Bill O'Reilly and Chris Cuomo, and they're talking about Trump's proposed migrant deportations are impossible. So let's see what they say about this.
Did you feel that what he was saying today will get him the independent voters that he needs to win this election? Extend the base?
I have no blanket idea whether it will get him voters or not. Here's what I can tell you. Donald Trump is a libertarian economist. He believes that the more money American consumers have, the better the economy will be. And in his 4 years, that proved to be true. Real wages rose more than 7%. Under Biden, they went down. Okay, so
so now this again substantiates the quote unquote we was eating better under Trump tribe. You guys know how I always joke about that. There's the quote unquote we was eating better under Trump tribe. There we go again. You know what I'm saying?
No blanket idea whether it will get him voters or not. Here's what I can tell you. Donald Trump is a libertarian economist. He believes that the more money American consumers have, the better the economy will be. And in his 4 years, that proved to be true. Real wages rose more than 7%. Under Biden, they went down. Okay, so you accept that. That's his philosophy, and that's how, if elected, again, he'll govern. All right. He will do the tax cuts. He will do as much as he can to wipe out government regulation so commerce can proceed in an aggressive way. And that includes things that the global warming crew hate. So that's how he's going to govern. Whether he articulates that or not on the stump, I don't know. I'm not a speechwriter, but I know how he will govern.
Do you believe that going full roundup on his strongest domestic issue, which is immigration, is the right approach?
No, I don't, because it's impossible. Number one, as soon as Donald.
So now here's this. This is where this is important to us. Here's my question for you guys: how is this impossible? How is this impossible? Because what I think now is that, you know, people who are kind of, you know, who are thinking about voting for Trump, or people who are sold on Trump, they shouldn't just, again, it still shouldn't just be giving people a way to vote. You know what I'm saying? So if Trump is promising these mass deportations, what people really need to be focusing on is people need to be asking the question, okay, well, what is the pathway? How is this going to work? What's the pathway to this? How are the mass deportations going to happen? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. And shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys. We got 38 people watching, and we got 49 likes. If everybody could take a moment, smash that like button. If you guys haven't hit the bell, take a moment, hit the bell. Share the stream to your social media. Let's try to get the likes up to 70.
Roundup on his strongest domestic issue, which is immigration, is the right approach?
No, I don't, because it's impossible. Number one, as soon as Donald Trump started to order federal marshals or whomever to remove people from their property, the ACLU and everybody else would file lawsuits, and the federal courts would stop it. It would take 10 minutes to stop it, and it would never proceed after that. Even the Supreme Court would not go along with it. What Donald Trump could do and should do is either write an executive order, or if he has a Republican Congress, pass a law that says if you are in this country without documentation, you must register with the federal government. At your local post office, there'll be forms there. You send them in within 60 days so we know where you are and what you are doing. If you do not register, you will be immediately deported. Whether you're living with 18 people, it doesn't matter. Then
I don't think that that's a bad idea. I don't think that that's a bad idea. Shout out to the specialist. The specialist says the cost to send them back would be enormous. I agree. However, one thing that I think that should something that they should think about is they should really start considering sanctioning a lot of these countries where a lot of these migrants are coming from. They need those countries need to keep their people at home. You know what I'm saying? They need to keep them at home unless they're using legal pathways to get here. You know what I'm saying?
Federal government can begin to adjudicate fairly, because we should be a fair country.
Due process.
Each case. It'll take years. It'll take years to do it, but at least it'll be a baseline of the government knows who the Hamas terrorists and where they live, and the regular good folks and where they live. All right. And if you don't comply, you're gone. And if you want to do a mass deportation of those who don't comply, the courts will not be able to stop you. You'll be able to do that. And that's what you should
give them. You should give them that idea. One other thing, the idea of
why would I give them that idea? Why would I give them that?
Why
idea?
wouldn't you?
I'm going to.
Don't you care about your country?
Because here, I said this before to you. I have talked to 5 presidents in an interview form and off the record. If any president calls me, and they have, and asks me my opinion, I will give it to them, whether it's a Republican, a Democrat, boom, and I'll lay it out in a fact-based way. But I don't intrude. Okay, I don't call up people and go, yeah, why don't you do this? It's not my job. My job is to watch what they're doing and then put forth a solution that I think would work for the country. Does that make sense?
Sure, makes sense. I've spoken to 5 presidents also.
Wait,
I want to ask you something, but go ahead.
No, I don't want to sound like a barker at a Bourbon Street strip joint. I don't want to do that.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to Georgia.
Oh man, that's wild, man. These cats is crazy, man. These cats are crazy. So, how many people have heard about this gang leader that's wanted for 23 murders? And this individual was allegedly arrested in New York City. Take a wild guess. Take a wild guess what's up with him. Yeah, Bill. Yeah. Bill O'Reilly is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, that's wild. Let's check this out real quick.
Charlemagne the God went after New York City Mayor Eric Adams for the migrant crisis which is plaguing this city.
So, yeah, What do you guys think about that? Charlemagne, now mind you, how are you going to go after Eric Adams about the migrant crisis, yet you're there telling everybody to vote for Kamala Harris? Does that make any sense? If that makes any sense, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't make any sense, then give me a thumbs down. This doesn't make any sense. Charlemagne the God is going to go after Eric Adams. You know what I'm saying? Like, Charlemagne the God literally in another interview said that he had no idea that there was even a migrant crisis going on. Like, what are we doing here? What's really good?
Charlemagne the God went after New York City Mayor Eric Adams for the migrant crisis which is plaguing this city.
You told him to come, Adams. Let's like everybody, we're not gonna let none of the Democrats off the hook who were saying
man, this is the skeptic grift. This is the skeptic grift. Remember, I was telling y'all about the skeptic grift. There it is. Shout out to Quatman. Quatman says there's lots he can do, like last time, remain in Mexico, targeting certain businesses, using his machine to make it inhospitable to live anywhere. That isn't a sanctuary city. Continue demonizing them. Yeah, absolutely. If you guys agree with Quatman, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
The God went after New York City Mayor Eric Adams for the migrant crisis which is plaguing this city.
You told him to come, Adams. Let's like everybody, we're not gonna let none of the Democrats off the hook who were saying they had sanctuary cities, and they were saying, come on in, come on in, come on in. And that's when Republicans started shipping them. And then that's when they was like, everybody stop. It's too much. That's what they were trying to tell you from the beginning, but you didn't want to listen.
He gets right to the point, doesn't he? Chris Oliveras with the Texas Department of Public Safety joins me now. All right, Chris, the sanctuary laws, that's the real problem here, is it? Apart from an open border.
So now let me ask you guys this, and you guys know I like to tie things back together. Do you guys understand the title? Voting and crime rights. What does it all mean? If it makes sense now, give me that thumbs up in the chat. If it doesn't make sense, I guess like every good YouTuber will tell you, in order for it to make sense, make sure you watch the stream all the way through to the end.
Stuart, great to be with you. Of course, if you look back at all the messaging from those that were for open borders, these pro-immigration activists that wanted immigrants to come to the United States and provide all these benefits and resources, well, this is a creation of that problem. This is the reality of the situation. When you have that type of messaging, when you encourage illegal immigrants to make their way
and Charlemagne the God has absolutely let the Democrats off the hook. Like, we're not going to sit there and just let that float at the bottom of the screen like that's a true statement or something like that. Charlemagne the God has absolutely let the Democrats off the hook. He never had them on the hook to begin with, but he's absolutely let them off the hook. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. And shout out to my man John for gifting a membership. And look who got it. Nobody more deserving than Jay. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to John and shout out to Jay. Make sure you guys throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for John standing on business and welcoming Jay back into the membership, because Jay been around forever. Shout out to Jay.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Definitely appreciate it. Yo, on BLR2, we got 199 members. We almost got 200 members on BLR2. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to y'all, man. Y'all killing it out here.
And you give them all these benefits, well, it's going to encourage more to come. Now they're dealing with the problem. They don't like it. And that even goes back even further than that, Stuart. They were criticizing the state of Texas, Governor Abbott, when he started busing illegal immigrants to New York City.
Hey, you see that? Throw some flames in the chat. Throw some flames in the chat for John. John said, I had to gift a $1,000 a month sub. Yo, do y'all see why? Do y'all see why I've been able to produce so much more lately? Do y'all see why? This is what I'm talking about.
Get the money, y'all. There's poor people around. I'm rich, bitch.
You know what I'm saying? See, now I got it. Now I'm not in here like this.
I can't eat. I'm broke, nigga. I'm broke.
Oh man.
That created a national attention, which was needed because this is a national problem. And now they don't want these people there. Now they see the type of issues they're having, not only economically, but also crime. Now we have this new category of migrant crime that's taking place because they're allowing so many people to come into this country, and they're also, resettling in some of these states. New York is a perfect example where you see all this crime taking place. You have criminal gangs from other countries that established themselves now in New York City, and it's all because of what they encourage, and they continue to encourage this. And it's unfortunate, but that's the reality of the situation that's beyond what we're seeing at the border right now.
On that note, ICE officials have arrested a Peruvian gang leader.
Peruvian gang leader, guys, pay very close attention to this. How many people knew about the Peruvian gang leader? If you guys knew about the Peruvian gang leader, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not, then give me a thumbs down. And shout out to Miss Nisi, and shout out to Miss Nisi gifting a membership, and Caldona was the recipient. Shout out to Caldona. I'm pretty sure Caldona's been a member before. Make sure y'all throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Miss Nisi, growing the organization. And stand.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the marching times.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Shout out to you. Definitely appreciate you, Miss Nisi. And I don't know. I think it gives it. Shout out to Jesse. I think that it gives. I think that it gives the memberships away randomly. I don't think that there's any like rhyme or reason to who gets a membership. I've never done that. I've only ever like sent super chats, so I'm not sure how that works. Do you guys aren't able to choose who becomes a member, are you? Or can you? I don't know if you can or not. Yeah, I think it's like a lottery. It's like kind of random. Shout out to Shamika. What's good with it? And shout out to John. And shout out to Vampire Hunter Greg. Vampire Hunter Greg been around for a minute too.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the marching times.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Shout out to Jay. Jay says it's a lottery, but you have to be in the live, I believe. Okay, that's what's good. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen for growing the organization. Make sure y'all show Brooklyn Queen some love.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the marching times.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Shout out to the specialist. The specialist says, I'm the only JA, because y'all know I'm trying to keep the videos green $. In here that's not a member. Drop the link. I think that the Streamelements, there you go. It just put it in. It just put it in right there, specialist. Right after DC Precise. We're gonna give you your flowers early.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the marching times.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Cash rules everything around me. Queen, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
Yeah, there we go. That's what's good. Appreciate y'all, man. If y'all haven't smashed that like button yet, take a moment, smash that like button. If y'all haven't hit that bell yet, take a moment, hit that bell. And also, if you guys haven't shared the stream, please make sure you guys share the stream to your social media.
Who is wanted for 23 murders in his home country. In May, he was arrested by Border Patrol near Rome.
How did he get here? Let me ask you guys this. How many people heard about this guy? If you guys heard about this guy, give me a thumbs up. If you did not hear about this guy, then give me a thumbs down. And also, shout out to everybody that's watching. If you know what? That's probably to BLR2. That's probably to BLR2. You know what? Hold on real quick. Give me 1 second. Hold on real quick. I got you. Give me a second. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let me see. 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 Oh yeah, here we go. All right. Yeah, we got it. We got it now. Yeah, we got it now. Yeah, we got it now. All right, I'm about to put it in right now. Oh man, shout out to the fellas. How many of y'all have ever been kicking it with a female and everything is going right? You know what I'm saying? And you be like, ha! I'm about to put it in right now. No, I'm just playing. I'm about to put it in right now. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you know what I'm saying? Oh man, that's hilarious. That's like that. That's that. You know what I'm saying? That's when you're getting active, like, you know what I'm saying, back in the high school, middle school years. You know what I'm saying?
So dumb. You are really dumb. For real. Oh, you are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Yeah, brother Dodson said I'm dumb. I gotta agree. I ain't even going front. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even going front, man. Brother Dodson was right. You right to call me dumb, brother Dodson. You know what I'm saying? You right.
So dumb. You are really dumb. For real. Oh, you are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Oh man. Shout out to my man, the specialist, man. Make sure y'all show the specialist some love, man. We're gonna give him some more flowers anyway. You know what I'm saying?
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Shout out to the mods. If there's a moderator that's available, if the mods could grab the link for the Just Talking with TD and Rob stream, that's scheduled. And if another mod could grab the link for the undocumented stream that's scheduled and post it into the chat, that would be wonderful. I would definitely appreciate that. Definitely appreciate everybody joining the membership too. You guys have no idea how that helps. You know what I'm saying?
The situation that's beyond what we're seeing at the border right now.
On that note, ICE officials have arrested a Peruvian gang leader who is wanted for 23 murders in his home country.
Right. Shout out to John. Right. I found it. That buried treasure. What? So grams I had to measure.
In May, he was arrested by Border Patrol near Roma, Texas, then released into America. How does a criminal migrant with that kind of background fall through the cracks like this? And second, what are we going to do with him?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you how they fall through the cracks. Think about this. If it takes that few criteria to be able to vote, imagine this. Shout out to Jesse. Make sure you guys hit that link that Jesse put in. Go over there, hit the bell on that link that Jesse just put in, and then come back. Like, seriously? Like, all of these laws that the Democrats and all these people are putting into place, this is how this stuff is happening. This is how this stuff is happening.
Who is wanted for 23 murders in his home country. In May, he was arrested by Border Patrol near Roma, Texas, then released into America. How does a criminal migrant with that kind of background fall through the cracks like this? And second, what are we going to do with him?
So this is all too common now. We're hearing all these types of stories, and now we're, even like I said, mentioned about migrant crime, and now suspected terrorists that have come across the border that have been released, and then they're reapprehended again because now either ICE or federal authorities have realized that these individuals were wanted or they were on the terror watch list. Now they have to go find these individuals. This all goes back to having an insecure border, goes back to the policies that were completely dismantled and that allowed all this type of situations to take place because now there's no vetting. There's no proper vetting on these individuals, especially from other countries. When you have people that are coming from over 160 different countries, that data, that criminal history is not shared from other countries with the United States. And now you're seeing these individuals that have made their way across the border, have been released to the communities, and now they're having to go back. Federal authorities having to try to find these individuals that are wanted for violent crimes. This is a reality of the situation. And like I said, it goes beyond what we see on TV when you see large groups of illegal immigrants coming across. There's more to this border situation, and that is a reality. And now we're more vulnerable now than we've ever been as a country because of those type of threats.
I remember back in the late 1970s, Fidel Castro opened the prisons in Cuba, shoved them all over into Florida and elsewhere in the U.S., and there was crimes committed all over the country.
Yeah, Scarface. Shout out to John and shout out to Jesse. Make sure you guys hit those links that they put into the chat.
It seems like some Latin American countries are doing the same thing again now. I wish I had more time. Lieutenant, thanks very much for joining us.
So let me ask you guys this question. How many people agree with this individual here and that there might be some quote unquote Latin American countries who are doing this today? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Now, this is a report that just came out 2 days ago, and they're saying that there's a massive influx of migrants coming in from the southern border. And imagine this, it's unsustainable. Who would have ever thought? Who would have ever thought? You guys remember what to do when we hear the word unsustainable? Let me see if you guys remember. What do we do when we hear the word unsustainable?
Welcome back. Vice President Harris and the Democrats suddenly talking tough on the border. They're getting religion 75 days before the election, including in a Harris ad campaign titled Tougher, in which
shout out to Lunch. What's good with it, bro?
Harris promises to hire thousands more Border Patrol agents if elected. She fails to mention the surging number of agents reportedly leaving the agency under the Biden-Harris administration. So far, more than 4,000 have left since October 2020. The New York Post reports former Yuma Border Patrol Chief Chris Clem said Harris talking tough on the border is, quote, just putting salt on the gaping wound. Joining me now is former U.S. Border Patrol Chief and Texas Public Policy Foundation Distinguished Senior Fellow for Border Security, Rodney Scott. Rodney, it's great to see you again. Thanks so much for being here this morning. Give us your take on immigration, the border under Kamala Harris as vice president and border czar.
Well, thank you for having me on, Maria. You know, the vice president in a lot of her speeches talks about wanting to be unburdened by the past. And that's really what she's trying to do here. They've had 3.5 years where all they had to do is leave everything alone, and we would have had the most secure border this country ever had, because that's what we handed them. But they tore every bit of that down, every policy, even physical infrastructure. They refused to finish building border wall, as you know, and that created this crisis. The only reason the numbers are dropping today is because they went into a panic mode and they asked Mexico to do what the United States should be doing, which is to secure our border. So actually the Mexican government setting up checkpoints right now and enforcing their laws, that is the primary reason we're seeing a reduction of flow in between the ports of entry. But Maria, please look at the national encounter numbers, not just the stuff that they cherry pick. 170,000 illegal aliens were processed by CBP last month. Those are still record numbers. It's just that they're pushing over 100,000 a month through the ports of entry now.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Harris has always supported open borders.
Moving the chessboard around, right? But you still have an enormous number of people, but you move the deck chairs around. But I want to get your take on the impact. I mean, what have you seen? You've been up close and personal with all of this over these last several years. What have you seen in terms of the impact of 10 million illegals in this country on Joe Biden's watch?
10 million. 10 million. And they want to give all of them just give them an easy pathway to citizenship. Just doesn't make any sense to me. It's not practical. It's not sustainable. It just doesn't even make any sense. Literally, none of this stuff that we're talking about right now. There's other important stuff that we could be talking about. We should be talking about that. This should be a non-issue. And I got to agree with Miss Nisi. If you guys agree with Miss Nisi, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. It's much more than 10 million illegals. Yeah, I would absolutely agree.
So the illegal immigration is very important, Maria, but I got to remind people, the cartels use illegal immigration as a tool to overwhelm law enforcement, to keep law enforcement, Border Patrol busy, so that they can bring in a second wave, the gotaways, whether it's fentanyl, cocaine, heroin. We don't talk about all those threats that are across this entire country every day. Over 300 Americans are dying every day from opioid overdoses. And that's on top of the crime that you talked about earlier on the show that is all accurate. That's on top of our emergency rooms being overwhelmed by illegal immigrants getting free medical care because they can't be turned away. Our schools are being inundated. We just cannot sustain this massive.
There it goes. Cannot sustain. Now, let me ask you guys this. How many people saw the videos that we did on the Undocumented channel about what went on with the hospitals in Denver as a result of the migrant crisis? I know Jesse is real familiar with that. Basically almost collapsed their entire healthcare system out there.
Sorry, this massive influx of people. It's unsustainable, and it doesn't matter where you live. This is touching your communities. And the worst is what we don't see. That's the terrorists, China infiltrating, all of that.
What do you think about the China infiltration? I mean, there have been 50,000 Chinese nationals who've come into this country illegally apprehended at the border just in the last 2 years. What are they here for? I mean, let's face it, you're talking about communist China. You can't just pick up your bags and say, hey, Xi Jinping, I'm out of here. I'm going to live in America. No, you need approval to leave that country. It's a communist country. So are they being directed to come here? What's the story?
I believe they're being directed to come here. And America needs to understand these are primarily single adults. China has had a plan to basically infiltrate for years. People are like, well, what are they going to do? Well, think about it. We have a lot of intelligence agencies that if China's trying to manipulate our elections from outside through internet or whatever, we can intercept that. But now when they're sitting in Chicago on a normal internet system in an internet cafe, we don't have the legal ability to be able to track what they say or what they do. This is a real threat. We've literally allowed a foreign nation that is an enemy, we've allowed them to just have spies walk directly into the country. And we've actually handed them paperwork so they can move around freely.
That's unbelievable. And Tim Walz has real connections in China. We're wondering if, in fact, if he gets in as vice president, is his approach.
Yeah, shout out to Cameron. Cameron makes a good point. Spies, tech jobs. Yeah, look at who's taking all the tech jobs. Look at all the people that are coming here for tech jobs. Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says most illegals take unskilled jobs. Now they're coming for skilled professions too. Yeah.
going to be soft on China approach and make things even worse?
I can tell you this. I've not heard a single thing out of the current administration or the Harris campaign that talks about putting Americans and Americans' needs first.
Yeah.
Even the speeches at the convention are all about helping illegal immigrants and allowing more people into our country.
Well, a Department of Homeland Security watchdog finds Immigration and Customs Enforcement lost track of more than 32,000 children over the last 5 years. As of this May, 291,000 unaccompanied migrant children have not been designated for removal because ICE has routinely failed to serve notices and schedule court dates. All of this occurring under the Biden-Harris administration. And yet former President Obama was slamming Trump last night on the issue. Watch this.
A Harris-Walz administration can help us move past some of the tired old debates that keep stifling progress. Kamala and Tim understand that when everybody gets a fair shot, we are all better off. They understand that when every child gets a good education, the whole economy gets stronger. They understand that we can secure our borders without tearing kids away from their parents.
Now you know they about to go in on Obama. you know they about to go in on Obama.
Rodney, how is this occurring? And what do you make of what he just said? I mean, he said they understand that we can secure our border. So how come she hasn't secured the border in the last 3.5 years?
Because they don't want to, and their policies are very clear. And actually, outside of the current campaign, their rhetoric is very, very clear. You know, they pick and choose talking points, but again, let's talk about the kids. I'll even talk about that Senate bill that everybody lies about and says it was such a great bipartisan bill. It did not touch child trafficking. It left the unaccompanied minor loopholes wide open. You know why ICE is having such a hard time? And it's not a failure on ICE's part. It's a failure on the administration, why they're having a hard time tracking those kids. They came in illegally and they want to hide. They've already got their paperwork to move around. They've been reunited with their illegal alien parents, and then they go off the grid and hide from ICE. Well, when you
facts. Shout out to Cameron. That's a great question. I want to ask you guys, what do you all think? Cameron says, how much campaign cash has come from the cartel? That's a great question. What do you guys think? How much campaign cash has come from the cartel?
400,000 of them crossing the border under the Biden administration. We simply don't have the resources to go after the 300 and some plus terrorists that have come into this country to be able to track them and track the kids at the same time.
Yeah. All right, so there's that. All right. So now next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take another look at that Peruvian gang leader. All right, we're gonna take another look at him. Now check this out. Your boy RFK is speaking. What is RFK announcing that that he's gonna endorse Trump like everybody knew was gonna happen, or what? I had to make a quick little video about that. Let me see. Hold on real quick.
Gianfranco Torres Navarro.
Hold on. I don't know what was going on right there. All right, there we go.
Gianfranco Torres Navarro is a reputed Peruvian gang leader. He was arrested this week in upstate New York by U.S. immigration authorities. He had been in the country illegally for about 3 months. And after Peru issued a warrant for his arrest, an international warrant, U.S. immigration authorities initiated the process of arresting him. And ultimately, that could lead to his removal and being sent back to Peru. Torres Navarro is suspected in 23 killings in his home country of Peru. He was arrested in Endicott, New York, which is west of Binghamton, near the New York-Pennsylvania border. His girlfriend, who is described as a top lieutenant in his gang Los Killers, was also arrested and detained. According to U.S. immigration authorities, Torres Navarro entered the U.S. illegally through the Texas-Mexico border.
Is anybody surprised by this? Now, you got to ask this question. This is all stuff that happened. This happened. But for whatever reason, you know, we're not hearing about it. Like these are things we watched 4 days worth of coverage of the DNC. Did they talk about any of this at all? At all?
Was also arrested and detained. According to U.S. immigration authorities, Torres Navarro entered the U.S. illegally through the Texas-Mexico border on May 16th. He was initially arrested and detained, but was then released and given a notice to appear at immigration proceedings. Peru's justice system issued an international arrest warrant for Torres Navarro and his partner, Michelle Sol Ivana Ortiz Ubules, on July 3rd. U.S. authorities arrested him this week after receiving information about the Peruvian warrant on July 8th. Torres Navarro is considered a highly dangerous criminal responsible for 23 murders. Peruvian authorities have made several attempts to arrest and incarcerate Torres Navarro over the years. In 2019, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison, but at the time he was on the run and authorities were not able to capture him and put him in prison. Finally, in 2021, he was arrested, but he was acquitted on those charges and released last December. That's when authorities in Peru say the violence inflicted by Los Killers intensified. After that, according to Peruvian authorities, Torres Navarro and his girlfriend fled the country. Torres Navarro is in Buffalo. His girlfriend is at a detention facility in Pennsylvania.
Now, here goes my question. How many people like this do you all think that there are in the United States right now that are exactly like this individual?
Torres Navarro's arrest ends an international manhunt that gripped Peru, but it raises critical questions about how he was allowed to stay in the U.S. after his initial brush with border authorities in May.
All right, so there's that. All right, we're going to get rid of this. All right, so now next, we're going to take a listen to this. All right, this is a little clip. This is a little clip from when Trump was at the border yesterday. All right. Yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying in the comment section. I think that there's a lot. And my thing is, even if there's not a lot, until there's a better way of tracking things in order to be on the safe side, I think that the most common sense approach would be just to assume that anybody that doesn't have any documentation is hiding secrets like this. You guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. And shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 39 people watching and we got 56 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us to 80, that'd be wonderful.
Okay. Then there's the heartbreaking story of Rachel Morin. And we're joined today by Patty and Michael Morin, Rachel's mother and brother. And I met with them. We had lunch. And they're devastated at a level that nobody can really imagine. Rachel was a cherished 37-year-old mom, beautiful woman of 5 incredible children who adored their mother more than anything in the world. They loved their mom. Earlier this year, while Rachel was out on a run, she wants to keep herself in good shape, and she ends up getting killed. In her neighborhood, she was brutally raped and murdered by an illegal alien who was led into America by Kamala Harris and her policies of stupidity. Savage person who committed this heinous crime first killed another woman in El Salvador before walking across our open border. Just walked right in. They didn't have this then.
Now, you know what's interesting about this? Like, do you guys notice that it's never really like just people who are just outstanding citizens who are trying to get here? Is always, it seems like the people who are the good citizens, they're the ones that actually take the pathways of citizenship, the legal pathways. And the people who tend to come here and do just wild stuff like this, they always have a shady past. Isn't that interesting?
He then attacked a 9-year-old girl and her mother in a home invasion in Los Angeles where they were very badly hurt.
Shout out to Carla. What's good with it, Carla?
Before murdering Rachel in the area where Rachel lived, in a very different part of this country. It was cold-blooded murder. Patty and Michael, I would just, first of all, thank you for being here. I know it's tough, but they want to let people understand what's going on here because this can happen to other parents and sisters and brothers and husbands. So if you would, I'd love you to say a few words. Thank you. Please. Thank you, darling. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care of yourself. Absolutely. We don't want to have it. We don't want it to happen to other people. That's all.
No. Yeah. Hi. I was just thanking President Trump for the invitation to come and to share Rachel's story. Rachel was 37 years old. She had 5 children. She worked. She owned a small business. She worked very hard to support her family. And the trail that Rachel ran daily was a trail that we as a family would walk over the last 5 years that we've lived in Maryland. It's a very safe, small trail, very public, very open. Moms with baby carriages go down this trail. It's very safe. I was in Kentucky. We had a grandbaby that had passed away when I got a phone call from my son, and he said, "Mom, there's somebody here that would like to speak to you." And when I said hello, the person on the other end said, "Hello, Mrs. Mooring. This is Detective so-and-so. I'm the lead detective on this case. There's no easy way to tell you this, but we found your daughter's body. And if they find the body, you know that she's dead. But they wouldn't say, we found Rachel, she's alive." And so they found my daughter's body. And when they found it, it just recently has come out that she was brutally beaten, raped, and then stuffed into a drain pipe. We're 18,000 miles, 1,800 miles from the border. And because of this open border, we've had not just my daughter, but we've actually had two in the same county that we're from, where illegal immigrants have come in and have caused rape and murder of our citizens. And the reason why I came here today and I accepted the invitation is because I really want our words to be heard. And I really want you to take to heart what we're saying. We're not here for a political stand, although we are. We're here because we're losing our moms, our daughters, our children to criminals. And that shouldn't happen. We should be taking care of our country, our people. And the only way I believe that's going to happen is if President Trump is reelected.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. To the people in the comment section, shout out to Patrick. What's good with it, Patrick? Shout out to Sybil. How many people agree with what this woman says? Shout out to Black Bitcoin Key. What's good with you, bro? If y'all agree with her, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
As president, and we close up this border and we put policies back into place that were there before, instead of this open border thing. We're gonna end up being a third world country if it continues this way. And I hope that you would just take my words to heart, because it's devastating to lose a child, but even more devastating when you see the pictures or you see the body and you really understand what's happened to that person. So
right.
Please take to heart. This is a very, very important.
Right. I agree. If you guys agree with Brooklyn Queen, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Brooklyn Queen says, where's all of their patriots and militias? No uproar from them. Facts. Facts. Shout out to Kiko. What's good with it, bro? Facts. This is where they should be making the most noise.
Issue, and it's one that's either going to make or break our country. It's not so much, it's about America, it's about Americans, it's about us taking and protecting ourselves and looking out for each other. It's about protecting our families. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so there's that. There's that. All right. So hopefully, right? Let me see something. Yeah, I'll save that. I'll save that. That'll go better with something else. So hopefully that gave you guys something to think about, man. If you guys haven't smashed the like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. If you guys haven't, please take a moment and do that. If you haven't subscribed to the channel and you're watching, take a moment, subscribe to the channel. All right. Don't move a muscle. After the music, it'll take you right where you need to be. All right. We got some more good content coming up for you. I want to shout out the stream sponsors because y'all know it's y'all that make this possible. Make sure you guys show them some love. Shout out to Kirk. Definitely appreciate it. Shout out to Roots Trackers. Definitely appreciate it. We growing the membership. Shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to John. Shout out to Miss Nisi. Shout out to John again. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. And shout out to the specialist for joining. You know what I'm saying? A lot of you all are quote unquote dual citizens. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to y'all. Definitely appreciate it. All right. So don't move a muscle. I'll see you momentarily. And as always, ladies and gentlemen.
Walk up in this life. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Talking my shit like, hey, I'm really him. Don't believe me? Come and see me. Got 3 wishes from my genie. Now I'm on your local TV. Y'all don't talk about demons. Say she wanna come and see me when I'm in a local city. I'm like, pause though. Please step aside so they can see me. And I walk up in this like, yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, I'm really him on God. Walk up in this like, yeah, I'm really him. Talking about shit like, I'm really him. I'm the realest from my city, that's on my knee, that's on Kiwi, that's on mamas. Niggas don't believe me, come and see me, I been dodging all that face. All these niggas working broke, but I been getting paid. All that know me from the street. Flexing for what feature, that's like every other week. Talk behind my back, I kick my feet up, have a seat. Cause at the end of the day, all these watching me as I walk up in this like, yeah, I'm really him. Talking about shit like, I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this like, yeah, I'm really him. Talking about shit like, I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this like, yeah, I'm really him. Talking about shit like, I'm really him. Hold up, look, walking this like, hey, yeah, I'm really him. Talking about shit like, hey.